you might disagree with me on this, but here's my perspective on birthdays. I feel like my mom should celebrate. I wasn't the one who fucking ripped myself, like trying to push a baby out, bro. She's the one who gave birth. I'm just here. Like, I didn't do anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like fucking rituals and shit. I feel like I'm forgetting something. All right. In 3, in 2, in 1. Welcome back to the PO3 Podcast. My name is Marcus Marx.
What's up? John here.
Man, you got to work on that. I'm just playing. Hey,
That's all right, man. I don't got a cool name like you do, bro. We already established this in the other one.
I know. I was editing it, and he's all, I'm John. So let me be the first to address this issue. And I noticed this when I was editing the podcast. And you said you didn't notice, but I cut you off a lot.
It's an engaging conversation, so we can't expect, there to always be a cut and a start,
I don't mean to do it, bro. And that's why I told you and I had to warn you. I was like, hey, if you notice that I'm cutting you off, please tell me and tell me to shut the fuck up. Because
I just did it right now.
Thank you.
That's my point. Like, I didn't notice it. To me, it wasn't an issue. It was just you trying to get a thought out while you had it, because, sometimes these thoughts can go on and on and on and on and on, and the point that you were going to make, flees your mind, and then it's, okay, now I'm done, and now you're just sitting there like, what the hell was I going to say? So, I don't know. I guess maybe you could subconsciously work on it, but rest assured it didn't affect me.
Here's the thing. I could write it down, but that's going to throw me off even more because then I'm going to start doing a self-portrait or some shit. Like, my mind is just going to go like 10 other different avenues and shit and forget about the one thing that I was supposed to write down. And that's the thing with ADD. I have it pretty bad, and I've had it since I was a kid. I got diagnosed in 4th grade, and instead of doing my work, what I would do to, fill my time and pass the time was see how many laps I could do around the classroom without the teacher noticing. So, like, I would just...
Wait, like physically?
Yeah, I would get up and be like, all right, well, there's one. And then, just, the lines with the line through it. And, yeah, I would just, on my desk, just how many of these can I get before the teacher notices?
Marks?
Yeah. So that's the shit I was doing. And it was because I was just like, I couldn't sit still. And when he's talking, I feel the same way. I'm just like, I want to jump in, but I'm trying to work on that because I don't want to lose my train of thought. So I feel like I got to get it off right there.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying, like you don't want what you were going to say in response to flee your mind, so I get it, but to me, it wasn't an issue. So.
Okay, well, I'm glad it didn't affect you, but as I was editing this shit, I was like, oh, wow, like I'm cutting him off a lot. I'm surprised you didn't sock me in the head, because that's what I meant about pressured speech when, because, as one of the side effects or symptoms of bipolar disorder is pressured speech, which I never knew that I had. And my fiance confirmed that for me because I brought it up. I was like, hey, she was asking me, like, as far as symptoms go, do you have this, this, and this? And I was like, yeah. And then I remember telling her, I was like, the only one I told her I didn't have was pressured speech. And she's like, well, what is that? And I explained it to her that pressured speech is basically where I'm talking to you and it feels like I'm just going on and on and on. And I don't give you a chance to jump in. And then it keeps going and going and going. So to the point where you feel pressured, and this has happened on numerous occasions with her and with a lot of other people, but people often don't want to cut you off because they don't want to be rude, right? So that's when you're in a manic phase or when you're hypomanic and hypomania, that's one of the symptoms. And I didn't even notice it myself, but apparently I do that a lot.
So the pressured speech is the other person feels pressure?
Yeah, the other.
Like okay. I was thinking maybe it was the in this case you that felt the pressure.
Well, that would be racing thoughts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just imagine 2 chicks from the nightclub on the track about to do a 100-meter dash. 2 thoughts racing. So
okay. Oh, it makes sense. That's probably why you didn't think that you had it.
Do you even understand what I just did there?
No.
Racing thoughts.
Oh my god.
Put them.
Yeah, that.
Just picture 2. I'm gonna
idea just.
I know. I was like, wait, is he gonna laugh?
No, I did.
I was like, I'm fucking bombing
See,
right now, dude.
I was thinking THOUGHT.
I was thinking THOTS.
Well, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Now that, it's been
I'll be here all night. I already did that. But anyway, yeah, so like
I can do it again.
that would be racing thoughts and shit. So like when ideas just keep pouring in and stuff and like one after the other, and it feels like I can't keep up with it. That would be racing thoughts. But pressured speech is on the other end, where the individual you're engaging conversation with feels like they can't get out of it.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So I didn't notice it before, but I've had people tell me this where I was, just to put it in perspective, like I remember doing construction and I'd be doing something and they weren't too familiar with me at the time because I had just gotten, hired onto the crew. And the dudes were real cool. And I remember like a few weeks into it, one guy was just like tripping out of me. And his name was Ray. Hella cool dude, man. And he would always trip out of me because I would always have Red Bulls and I'd always be like highly caffeinated. And I think one day I was just like hypomanic, bro. And this adds to it. It kind of, sometimes it will send me overboard, which I like though. So I kind of chase that, especially when I'm feeling good because it pulls me out of my depression. But I remember him explaining to me like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? It looks like you're doing a lot, but you ain't doing shit. Like, he was like, bro, he was just like over here, over there, over here, over there, over here, like a squirrel, And in my head, I'm just like, I'm getting shit done, but not realizing that I look like a fucking, rabbit or a fucking squirrel bouncing up off the walls and shit, I had no idea. And yeah, I don't know. Like, this is shit I don't notice. And it's oftentimes, that's why it's hard for me to understand what the fuck's going on with me because I don't know. I'm just used to being this way, until somebody points it out, but rarely they will. So they just think I'm weird or something.
Well, that or just not trying to be rude, so. But I mean, that guy, his name was Ray.
Yeah.
Hey, you ain't doing shit. Like, that's.
No. You got to hear it in context. Like,
no, I know. But still, it's like, you could have told him 100 other ways, dog.
No, I'm glad.
He just can't be doing nothing. He got to be ain't doing shit.
Nah, that shit was funny, bro. Like, he was one of the most hilarious people I've ever met, like, at a job site. That fool would just crack everybody up, man. Like, oh my God.
People like that often make work a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Take you out of, like, the monotonous, all right, here we are again, cutting wood or jamming nails into wood, and some little joke here and there will just, it's not that bad.
Bro, this is why I miss construction, though. I mean, that was one of the reasons that I stayed as long as I did, because I was on a crew with a good group of guys who didn't make me feel a certain way. I felt like I vibed with everybody, and it didn't even feel like work a lot of the times. I mean, yeah, it's hard labor and shit, and you're digging holes sometimes, or you're jackhammering for 8 hours or whatever, You're getting beat up by the elements. But there's like a commodity that kind of goes on there, which I'm sure you can relate to a lot, being in the field that you're in.
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, it's like the relationship you build with these people. It's like obviously a friendship that's established, but more. I don't know. It's kind of weird. And in my particular profession, it's like a brotherhood or sisterhood is formed, and again, it just makes going to work and doing the everyday grind much more appealing. It's like, okay, like it's like, we're here, we're working, yeah, but I got Mark on my side today, so it's gonna be a good day. Even if it's a crappy day, it'll still be a good day. Type of thing.
Yeah. So I mean, for you guys, more so because you're kind of gambling with your lives a little bit, just because you don't know what's gonna come of the day in that type of environment. You know what I mean? So there's more of a commodity. Like, you hear about this type of thing, and like when soldiers go to war and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's just they come out and they never, like, that brotherhood that they formed, or or relationship with whoever they're going to war with never leaves them. It's a constant thing that remains with them their whole lives because they struggled together. They had a fear bond, like, legit with this person.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a couple instances at my previous employer, working in the jail, and things hit the fan rather quickly. And then when you see that you have, like, one of your boys in your corner, it's like, all right, whatever comes of this, we're going to be in it together, win, lose, or draw. And so I almost feel bad trying to compare that to soldiers, because they're out there, you got the mortars and grenades and, like, people really, really trying to cause you harm or death. but it's in some capacity similar, and it's nothing like I've ever experienced, and which is why I think I liked it, and or I like it so much, just having that, like, all right, man, we're gonna ride into the pits of hell, and we'll see you on the other side, and if you get stuck behind, then I'm gonna be there with you, trying to get you out, where we're staying together. So it's an interesting little dynamic, but it's very very appealing, and you forge some really great friendships, in going through these types of things.
Has your tolerance level for like certain situations gone up? Like you're not so quick to panic in a certain situation now because um you've kind of built up a tolerance to it.
Some, uh, you always got to, have in the back of your mind that things can go horribly wrong, faster than you can even blink an eye. Uh, I would say my tolerance for shit talking has definitely gone up. Because that's one of the ways that,
Like
you know,
what kind of shit talking though? There's very
like
different
I'm talking
types.
like they're attacking your character, just like you ain't shit, without that badge, you're nothing, blah, blah, blah. And you just honestly just let it learn, like they're just words. And they're trying to get a certain reaction out of you? And so it's just kind of like, all right, that's it. That's all you got. You know what I'm saying? So it's that part I've really embraced. But there also is some negative side effects that come with working in that type of environment. So one of the things that I noticed, and I'm sure any psychologist or psychiatrist have a field day with this, but I noticed that, like, at parties, like when I would get off work and I go hang out with the guys, I would be withdrawn. Like I was more comfortable. Like everyone was in a group talking, and I would just be comfortable out in the back, watching everything, hearing all the conversations take place.
That's my whole life.
So that's what it's like for you every day. So then I guess we can kind of relate in that, but it was more comfortable because where I would spend most of my time working 5 days a week was you don't want to be in the middle of all these people. Granted, they're not all. I think like movies or documentaries, highlight like working in correctional facilities as like this rural. They're going to get you the moment they can, as long as you conduct yourself in a respectable manner. You usually don't have too many problems.
I was gonna say, bro, like I think it really depends on how you carry yourself. As doesn't matter what if you're wearing a badge or not, as an individual. If you're walking around with your chest out, talking shit and acting like or abusing your authority or just abusing your freedom of speech, and you're acting like an asshole, it's only natural that eventually somebody's gonna call you out on it and fuck your shit up for that.
Yeah, and then but having a metal little badge pinned to your chest amplifies that. Because they it's like, okay, you're only doing this because of that, and that's like your shield. That's what's protecting you from us, is because you feel that you have like immunity from the things that you can do or the things you can say. And so I'm not that type of person by nature, and so I think that played really well, for me being there for 4 years and doing that. uh so yeah, it's but arrogance, and then having that, wearing a uniform, you see it a lot too from people. And those are the guys that typically have a lot of issues, just because it's my way or no way, and that's typically how it goes, but you don't have to operate like that every single minute of every single day.
I think there's a time and place for it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 180 million percent, I mean, just with like everything in life, time and a place, especially with that, there's times where you have to be like, hey, no, this is going to be a definite no, or I need you to do this. And if you don't want to, it's either you do it or we help you do it. And it's usually better for everybody involved if you just do it, on your own. So,
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like those are like the individuals that often struggle, like the alpha males or the ones that think they're an alpha male at least. Because from my experience, usually all the alpha males that I've ever been around don't necessarily have to voice that they're an alpha male. It just kind of is, and they have the charisma, and they know their lane. They're not like overdoing it and putting up a false bravado. It's just this is who that person is, and I feel like the ones that want to be an alpha male are like often the betas, the wannabes, so to say,
like,
so to speak.
overexerting themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
overcompensating their personality to like try and prove a point. And I've always looked at those people like, um, well, I mean, somebody's probably gonna call out your shit. You know what I mean? I always like revert back to like, you ever hear people that kind of talk about like how smart they are and shit? Or have you ever heard someone say like, "Oh yeah, bro, like I'm smart and this and that." Like I feel like smart people don't have to say that they're smart. Like real, truly smart people, you'll never hear them say, "Oh, I'm smart. I'm a smart individual." It's just like they already know that. They don't got to go and say it. You know what I mean? Usually,
and
other
like
people are telling them.
yeah, and it's out there.
Hmm.
It's already been established the moment they walk into a room. Just the way that they carry themselves and the things that they say. Like you don't have to give them like a business card saying, "Here's my name and I'm smart." you know. So yeah, there's people like that, and there's people that are the other way around. That just they're seeking that attention.
Like MMA fighters, right? Like they're never gonna be. At least most of them, I hope, they're probably not bullies because they know they could fuck you up. The last thing they're gonna do is talk like be the first one to talk shit and try and pick on somebody because they know what they're capable of already. I feel like those people that are deeply insecure and aren't sure about themselves and haven't tested themselves in any capacity are the ones who are quicker to be bullies because they so often have something to prove to themselves. So they're always trying to walk around with their chest out and shit. You know what I mean? And those are the people that fucking struggle, you know? I think if you just know your place and going back to this kind of applies to everything, just be humble. I think you'll be all right, man. You do okay.
Yeah. Humility is often overlooked by a lot of people, and it's an extremely, versatile tool, that orients you better for, you know, being around people. No, I mean,
What
so
humbled you the most in life? Like, what do you like? What impacted your life the most that kind of helped you remain humble? Because have you always been a humble person?
I would say yes. And those of you that are watching that know me, they're like, oh no, there's definitely a time where you're not. But I would say I got that from my grandma, and so she was always kind of like, don't ever be one to talk about like future plans and what you want to do. Just get it done, and then we'll show people what you accomplished. You don't have to sit there and and I'm guilty of it too, still. But like, hey, whatever, like, hey, I want to go buy a house. Don't tell people you're buying a house. Just buy the house. You want to get a new vehicle. Don't tell people you're going to get a new vehicle. Just get the new vehicle. And so, I mean, I guess I share those types of stories with people that are close to me. It's not like I'm walking around talking to complete strangers, like, hey, I'm trying to buy a house, in the next couple, like it's just people that are close to me, like, hey, how you been? What's new? And they just all go through my thoughts and stuff. But I would say my grandma was definitely a big person that contributed to that, I guess that sense of humility that I've always just trying to kept. And then I don't want to be arrogant, and people mistake me trying to have an honest conversation as being arrogant. And so, and you see it all the time, dude, like especially with MMA, you see these fighters, and the reason I like GSP so much was he was humble.
I love GSP.
He would talk his trash at the end of the fight, but it wasn't really trash talking. He'd be like, hey, you know what? Like, Mark was a great competitor, but I outdid him in this X, Y, and Z because I trained specifically for X, Y, and Z. But, and then he'll give you your credit, like you were a formidable opponent, blah, 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 blah. I don't like the like Anderson Silva's before he got knocked out, just like in the ring dancing around, putting his hands down. Like to me, I was just like, dude, that's not what the sport represents,
Hmm.
And so I would often hope that he would lose, or people like that. I don't like arrogant people.
He was polarizing though. That's what made him a superstar.
And that became a thing. A lot of fighters since then have continued to do that. I just don't care for it. Like I understand
Yeah.
you're trying to sell a fight, and it's the more the fight sells, the more money they make, but I think if you're just a badass dude at what you do, that's gonna be enough to get you the people to view. You don't have to sit there and talk trash on him and his family and all this, or the country he's from.
Well, GSP was polarizing in that way as well, just on the opposite end of it, the other side of the token. People were drawn to the fact that he was such a fucking killer, but also he's humble. He had no fakeness about him. He had nothing. There was nothing about him that was a bully. And I think people were just drawn to that. I started laughing right now though, because when you said that, like, you don't go around telling strangers like, "Hey, I'm doing this and that," but like on so many occasions, I've like often ran into those people. And like, you ever get those people that are like so quick to tell you it's their birthday? I hate that shit, bro.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my
it's like something
god.
like that.
I won't tell nobody it's my fucking birthday, but then you'll get people it's their birthdays and shit. No disrespect, but I just think it's corny. like they're posting on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and they're just like trying to let the world know, like, it's my fucking birthday today. Like, it was the day I was born, you know? And then, like, because really, I don't think anyone gives a fuck. Like, I'm sorry, other than like your your family and your mother. And you might disagree with me on this, but here's my perspective on birthdays. I feel like my mom should celebrate. I wasn't the one who fucking ripped myself, like trying to push a baby out, bro. She's the one who gave birth. I'm just here. Like, I didn't do anything.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
I'm gonna give my
mom
mama
like that.
I'm gonna give my mom a gift on my birthday, bro. It's like, hey, you put me here. Like, I didn't do anything. And then my dad, whatever, you know, we don't. We're dogs. I'm just digging myself a hole, bro.
That's an interesting way of putting it. I mean, I can understand the rationality behind what you're saying. It's just, I don't know. I guess it's just I would say the common perception of birthdays is like, hey, I made it another year. You know, celebrate that.
But that's not what people think. Just how Christmas, like, everyone thinks it's about the gifts and stuff. Like, when really it's just about, well, I don't really know what it's about other than like Jesus Christ, but like it should be about family and stuff. But people get so caught up in the gifts and the aesthetics of it, and they forget about like the true meaning of it. And it's cliche, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just his birthday.
Did I go too? Am I looking too deep into this birthday thing? Because I have a whole list of like people in my. No, I'm just kidding. Like, all right, like on Happy Gilmore, or no, what was it? Fucking yeah, it was. Oh no, Billy Madison, the crazy dude with the sniper.
Oh
like,
yeah.
like he fucking he erases Billy Madison's name and shit because he made up with him.
All right, so hey, thanks for the candy.
Oh, what were we talking about when
There's that video I sent you of the guy that was
yeah.
the guy, the school shooter guy rapping.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's all, what did he say? He's all, I spared a few because we was cool.
Yeah.
I spared a few because we was cool. But the only thing that popped in my head when you sent me that was the Dane Cook bit.
Thanks for the candy.
Yeah, he's all, you gotta be nice to the serial killer and shit. And I was like, bro, that's fucking true.
Ever since that video, which was what we were in
Same here.
High school.
Yeah.
I always like, okay, I gotta find the crazy dude in here and I gotta become his best friend.
Befriend
So
him?
when he finally pops his lid, I'll be the one that's like, all right, you were cool to me.
Yo, how about the guy's name in Dane Cook's bit was Marcus?
Oh God.
The crazy guy? I was like, really? Like,
hey, so I want to go back to something we talked about a little while ago.
Right.
When I said I was like, I grew comfortable being outside the group at parties and stuff.
Yeah.
And you said that's what your everyday, life, is like. What of the conditions that you have is that associated with?
I think that's just social anxiety. For me, I don't do well in large crowds, so I've said this so many times, but I'm often in deep seclusion, bro. Like, I like and operate at the most optimum level when I'm by myself. Often I don't like to. That's another reason why I would just take off from parties and shit. I start getting overwhelmed and stuff, and it starts getting me very, very paranoid. And I'm talking about in the states where I'm sometimes hypomania, but more or less when I'm feeling depressed, because that's when my mind will start playing tricks on me. Like, I won't when I'm feeling that way, dude. I don't even like to go to the grocery store. Like, I'll put it off because like I'll put my hood on and shit, and I'll walk around. And I'll just keep to myself, and I don't want to look anywhere because I feel like if somebody just looks at me the wrong way, I'm gonna take it personal because I'm getting paranoid and stuff, and I'm gonna want to start a fight. And this has happened to me on so many occasions, bro, where I got into shit with people because of the way I was feeling and thinking, and just not recognizing that those were symptoms of, a disorder and stuff. But for me, it's just the social anxiety and the paranoia that comes with, depression. Because there's a thing called psychotic depression, and I deal with that as a symptom of bipolar. It just depends on the severity of your depression.
So the social anxiety is associated with bipolarism or depression? Or is it
they
kind of attributed to
overlap?
both?
They
okay.
overlap. So that they would call that comorbid conditions, meaning that you have more than one thing wrong with you.
Okay.
So yeah. So
I wonder if it's possible, for people being in the, the profession that I'm in, that they can develop these sorts of, mental health issues without otherwise having them before. Because it's not like I get anxiety being around large groups of people. It was just like, with me being at work, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, it was just like being in the middle of the group wasn't good, because I was around anywhere from like 80 to 120 some inmates. So if you're in that, just be on the outside, that way you're not in the middle of things when it should have hit the fan. And so it was just for me. I was having a lot of difficulty turning that switch off. Like it was like, okay, when I'm at work, flip the switch on. Now that I'm outside of work, turn the switch off, and I can go back to being a normal person. And so I wonder if there's some sort of like if you can develop these kinds of things, just from being in, because I know like you can get like PTSD and stuff like that from being in these
I
types of
was gonna
situations.
say, I think if anything, yeah, I think it's maybe you're develop because you can develop anxiety from that, especially being in such a high risk environment like that. I think for sure you can develop an anxiety disorder if you were prone to it already. Maybe it was dormant in your brain somewhere. I mean, I think everyone has anxiety to a certain extent in general, but more some people are more susceptible to those adrenal glands, and some people get it worse than others and stuff. But I think also, possibly, maybe it's a form of PTSD as well, and maybe not a severe case, a very, very mild case in some cases, but nonetheless, the symptoms are still there. And I don't know, I'm not a clinician or anything like that. This would just be my guess as far as to like, okay, you just got to look at the pieces. Like, it's your environment, it's a very high risk environment, and I kind of tie it back to like just anything in general. Anybody that would grow up in the ghetto or in the projects or some in a very rough environment, they often have trouble um, with PTSD and anxiety and stuff like that because their surroundings were so rough. And I feel like it's no different for adults. It's just our capacity to deal with that type of thing is a lot higher than when you're younger. But at the same time, like I said, who knows what type of individuals are more susceptible than others and stuff. And I think you being a pretty strong willed individual, I don't think it would affect you so greatly. But I'm just speaking on a third person point of view. I don't know how you feel about yourself.
Like I've tried to rectify that, because I noticed it. I want to say want to say it was Aaron, but he was like, "Dude, like, come hang out with everyone." I was like, "No, I'm cool, dude. I'm cool." And I kind of started thinking about it, like, what am I doing? Why am I in the back of everybody? Why am I comfortable just kind of hearing multiple different conversations take place, and then I'll chime into all of them.
I think I know why. Because you're so used to having, and I sorry to cut you off, but let me just get this off real quick. I think you're so used to having your head on a swivel that you've kind of just dialed into that, and it's hard for you to turn it off at the end of the day. So you're constantly in a mode where you're like, okay, I got to keep my eyes peeled. I got to be listening to that. I got to be listening to this, and that's exactly how I get. My fiance on numerous occasions would be eating and shit. She's like, babe, what's wrong with you? Like you're looking all over the place, and it's just like I have to have my head on a swivel. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Hyper aware.
that's a very. I mean, I don't want to say struggle with it because I don't see it as a bad thing, but it is definitely something I deal with because I mean we'll go out to eat and with my girlfriend and she'll be like, hey, you can have this chair because I know it's view in the door, or things like that. We'll be in a crowded area like we were in Monterey at the Fisherman's Wharf, and I'm sitting there scoping everybody out, and then I see tattoos and I start looking for gang stuff to see, like, and she's like, well, how do you do that? I was like, I just want to know who's around me, and they might be there with their family having the time of their life. But for me, it's just like, okay, here's the possible person. If things were to go wrong, it could be centered around this person. And that's probably wrong. But it's hard for me not to do that. I was at a gas station a couple days ago, probably about a week or two ago, and this guy walks in and just, tatted on the head, bald shaved head. So I start looking at his tats and he sees me and I'm in my, I'm not in full uniform, but I'm in my pants that are green, and he locks eyes with me. Well, I see him looking at me. I had my sunglasses on still, so we didn't, I guess, technically lock eyes, but he comes behind me and I'm just kind of looking at the corner of my eye. Like, what's this dude about? Because he's like staring at me, and then he asked me, like, "Hey, where do you work?" With a smirk on his face, like, you're one of them, And I answered his question, and we ended up having a little bit of a talk. But just
Good or
stuff like
bad?
that, it was good. It was, I mean, it was
He wasn't like trying to play mind games with you?
no, 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 no.
Because you get that sometimes
No,
too.
it wasn't that. I think he was just kind of like, "Hey, what's this? Where's this guy work?" Because And so just based off his mannerisms and stuff that he was asking, I feel like he did time. I couldn't get a good look at his tattoos and see if he had any sort of gang stuff, but it's hard for me to turn that kind of, that kind of stuff off, out even outside of work, and that's one of the things they always talk about in law enforcement is like leaving your boots at the door. Just like don't
Yeah.
bring it home because it does. Like for instance, I always heard my mom talking about it with my stepdad. Like, hey, I'm not someone at work. Don't talk to me like that. And I was like, huh, well, what does that mean? Well, after I started dating my girlfriend, there was times where I have a tone that I'm not aware of, and it's coming down real. It's not suggestive. It's very direct. Like, get it done, and I'm not even aware that I'm doing that until it's brought to my attention.
Like,
And
I'm asking you, not telling you type of thing.
no,
Or
like
I'm
I'm
telling you,
telling you,
not
not
asking you.
yeah,
Sorry, I
exactly,
reversed
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, just like
My
that.
dad used to tell me that all the time, bro. He's all, I'm not asking you, I'm fucking telling you. Like, all
Yeah,
right.
so. But again, I wasn't saying those words directly. It's just the tone that I was speaking in suggested that's what I was referring to, and so I have to be very conscious of how I say things, and so it's a little bit of work sometimes, and I just haven't been able to master just to be able to flip that switch. Okay, I'm at work, turned it on, and then I'm out of work, turned it off.
I think a lot of people who are in law enforcement or any profession really that involves high levels of communication and having to quote unquote leave your boots at the door type of profession. I really think and this should be more prominent amongst people like that is therapy. I don't think that it's a bad because what comes with the machismo and the sense of I'm a man, I don't got to talk about it. That whole stigma that comes with therapy, I feel like we need to diminish that because I think it's very very important for people to prevent people from getting to reaching their boiling point, because a lot of people bottle that shit up and they just tell you that your job and just your job often entails this, but they usually just are so quick to say just turn that switch off. And when it's easier said than done, because if I could just turn that switch off, I would have turned the switch off a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize for a very long time that I needed intensive therapy. And I feel like that's something, especially for someone in your environment, it would do wonders for your job and for your sanity, because then you would know how more to navigate those muddy waters when you would come across a situation where you you're struggling to turn that switch off.
Yeah, it's a hard one, man. Like it's like
How would you feel about therapy?
I'm not opposed to it. It's just I don't know if I want to pay
Well,
the
okay, here's the thing too. Maybe it's not even a problem for you yet, or severe enough for you to even want to seek therapy. But for those who maybe need it, what would you say for them?
oh, go seek help, 100%. Uh they offer, like, let's say we experience something traumatic. Um they will offer you like counseling, and I think a couple sessions are covered, by the employer, just to make sure that you're going to be fit to come back to work and you're not going to, it's not going to have these, well, I guess you can't really tell long term, but at least in the short term, you're not going to have these weird thoughts going through your head. But as far as just like everyday, existence, there's nothing like that, at least that I'm aware of, that's offered. And so, and I don't think I'm that bad. I know there's others that struggle with it, really, 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 really bad. And I always would encourage them, go get seek help, just go, because like I always feel like you mentioned like the machismo aspect and not wanting to talk about it, suppress your feelings and whatnot. That's never been something that's I've always been good at talking about whatever's troubling me. But I'm also just talking to a person that doesn't really understand the the intricacies of what I'm actually saying, where it could be like a psychotherapist that's gonna be able to help you and ask more thought provoking questions to get more out of you. And then they can say, hey, maybe you can do this and that might help you cope with what you're going through. So I would definitely say seeking help is definitely like I encourage it, go get it done if it's causing you that much trouble.
And again, bro, like the stigma is the reason why a lot of people are so against it. They're embarrassed, they're afraid, and they just don't want to be. honestly, I feel like a lot of people are afraid to face that demon inside of them and be like, look, I do need some help. And there is a part of me inside that maybe is scared, because oftentimes men don't want to admit that they're fucking scared in a certain situation. Like oftentimes they want to be the one who's the warrior and shit. And that's not always, that's never the case, bro. We're human beings. We have emotions and some of us are more susceptible, like I said, to certain situations than others. But over time, like that shit adds up, man, and you start developing these insecurities and anxieties unwillingly, obviously, but it a lot of men, I feel like, and maybe some women struggle with that aspect of it, of like, look, man, like there's something that I'm fearful of and I'm struggling with, and it has to do with my emotions. That's a big word for guys to throw out there, emotions. A lot of people are reluctant to fuck with that word, and me myself, I've struggled with that for a long time, and wearing my heart on my sleeve, man, I've always been very, very hesitant to share my true feelings with my friends or my family in general. I didn't as of a few years ago start being transparent, not only with myself but with my surrounding peers and my relationships and my family and stuff like that. And it was a very, very hard thing for me to get over. And I feel like a lot of times it's just your ego fucking with but that's something you got to check.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
agree. I
but
agree.
it's hard to check your ego, man. It's really hard to
Well,
recognize it.
I want to say, I think it even goes back to like when people are physically sick, they have physical ailments and they know that something's wrong, but they're scared to go to the doctor to hear what they're going to say.
Yeah,
You
that
know what I'm
reminds me
saying?
of George Lopez. Like, don't go, they're gonna find something wrong with you.
Yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of people that do that stuff. Like the doctor be like, "How have you? How did it get to this point and you didn't know that there was something wrong?" Oh, I did. I just thought it would go away in a couple days, and then like 2 or 3 years later, something that could have been caught early and treated early now is going to require more treatment because and I think with mental health, even more so with the stigma that's associated with mental health, people are more reluctant to want to go do it because like, oh, I can't be that person that has that problem, you
Bro,
know?
I was that guy for the longest time, and I've always said this, man, and I laugh at myself now for thinking the way that I used to think. I used to think that I had everything fucking dialed in, and that I got my head on my shoulders the right way, and I'm fucking on the straight and narrow, and I got this shit under control, bro. Like, don't worry about it. I don't need you to tell me how to live my life. I got this shit locked in. And I remember one of the reasons, not one of the reasons, but one of my fucking justifications as to why I didn't go into the military was because I was so disciplined that I didn't need the military, when just such a fucking nutcase, bro. Just like so fucking brainwashed. I brainwashed myself. And because I was struggling with my ego, you know what I mean? Like, and I was afraid to admit that I need help, and I didn't want to be that guy who had to go to therapy. I wanted to handle it on my own.
But since you've been to therapy or at least started,
Haven't even started
no,
yet.
well, you spoke to that doctor.
I'm about to start this Wednesday. So
So
2 days.
how did it feel talking with that doctor for the first time? Like, was there enough like I should have done this sooner?
Well, this isn't my first encounter with a psychiatrist. I've seen a therapist I've seen over the years on a lot of separate occasions.
No, no, no. Let me interject real quick. Was that when you were a child, or not a child, but
Adolescent.
like you were still under the care of your parents? And was that something that your parents said that they needed you to do?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so would you say this doctor that you contacted here recently was the first time you sought out help as an adult?
Second time.
Second time?
Mm-hmm.
And with the first and the second time, did you feel a sense of relief? Like, okay, like, or this is actually going to help me?
The first time it was very awkward because I'm talking to a stranger, and I'm very reluctant to be transparent. But at the end of it, yeah, it did feel very liberating, and it felt like, oh, like finally, like I can just get this shit off my chest, and this person can't legally divulge this information, because there's a bind there, a confidentiality bind, and just that aspect of it kind of creates the environment to where you can just be vulnerable. But yeah, to put that answer in a short form, answer is yes. I wish I had done this shit a long time ago, but let me cut myself off. That's how bad I am. I got to cut myself off. Is I didn't know how to communicate or even recognize the shit that I'm feeling. So I would have been ready to do that a while back. It really took some reflecting and some real deep thinking and looking into who I really am to really understand what the fuck I'm going through and how to convey it to somebody else. I really had to study myself. So had it been a few years ago, I probably would, I wouldn't have known what to say, or even how to feel about it.
We talked about this in our first podcast together, but we mentioned briefly timing, and I think that's again often something that's overlooked by a lot of people. I was speaking with somebody and they were talking about a relationship that they were in, and the relationship was all signs were pointing to it's not healthy, and yet they stayed, and everyone around them that cared for them was like, "Got to get out. I know this, but it's not now." And only once that specific point in time happened, were they able to pull themselves out of that situation. And so I think that you're right with what you said. Like, had it been done a little bit sooner, you couldn't, really convey your thoughts as efficiently as you could. Um, and I can even say that you probably weren't ready. And the fact that you contacted this, doctor when you did, that was you saying the time is now. We're gonna get this done, and hopefully it helps you and I guess helps you understand yourself even better, and understanding your situation, and then hopefully they'll give you some advice on how to actually mitigate, these effects and stuff like that as they present themselves, I mean, because it's like just because they identify, the issues that you have is not going to fix it, but you'll know when the key markers to identify when you're going to go into a particular state, and if there's something you can do to, I don't know, like
Prevent it.
maybe not prevent it, because I don't know if there's things you can do to prevent it. I mean, again, I'm speaking completely ignorant on the subject, but
Well,
maybe to the fact that like I can slow the pace down so I won't go that far. You know what I'm saying?
well, some people, there are triggers in bipolar. There are certain triggers for depression and mania, right? So like caffeine would be a trigger for mania, and a negative environment or negative relationship, just for an example, would be a trigger for depression. So there are things that you can do and lifestyle changes that you can make to help not prevent, but like dampen the effects and the severity of either the hypomania or depression. You know what I mean? So that's why over the years I started realizing like, look, I have to lead a very specific lifestyle in order for me to feel clear and healthy minded, like clear minded. I gotta eliminate the drinking. I gotta eliminate the fast foods. I gotta eliminate the bad habits, the smoking, the sleeping in, the fucking masturbation, like everything, bro. Like anything that's gonna affect my mind negatively, I have to fucking weed it out. And some people could just live a life like that and be cool. And I'm just like, whatever, whatever way you want to lead your life, as long as you're happy, is fine. It's just in my particular case, I have to do X, Y, and Z to lead a healthy lifestyle and feel normal. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, those are my preventatives and my practices that I use to navigate through the day. Cause I could tell you firsthand, like if I'm not doing these things and I'm not fucking on my diet, if I'm not working out, if I'm not pushing myself to the limit with like, all right, what's my potential here and keeping myself busy. If I'm just letting myself wither away and be depressed in bed all day and going straight to the fridge to binge eat and comfort eat, mentally, that weight like far outweighs the physical weight that I'm putting on from like the comfort eating and stuff like that. And the mental clarity is just not there. Like everything is just way different for me, man. So it's hard.
I can only imagine, just because there are days when I'm tired and there's days when I'm mentally tired. And I can tell you, I would rather be physically tired 100 times out of 100 times than being mentally tired one day. I feel like being mentally drained it's that makes for a bad day. And so for you to, which I think is actually kind of cool that you've identified all these little triggers to keep you from being cloudy, to keep you from being mentally drained and just, as you put it, binge eating or just sleeping in excessively. Uh, you've identified these things and you're saying, okay, this is what I have to avoid if I want to have a clear as possible day and not become, mentally strained. I think that's awesome.
Yeah,
And this
dude.
was this stuff that you figured out on your own, or was this stuff that, you going through?
A little bit of both, man. A lot of homework and a lot of just, like I said, self reflection, analyzation on myself. Because before operate without a care in the world. I was just kind of wandering aimlessly, so to speak, mentally and physically in the world. I didn't really know. Everything was just kind of a big blur to me. And I didn't realize that I needed to make some changes. And like I said, up until recently. But I mean, it's definitely hard, but I prefer it that way because I enjoy the structure. You know what I mean? That's why my goal this year in 2021 is to grind as hard as I can with my content and this and try and go back to living a normal lifestyle. I mean, I want to do this full time eventually one of these days, and God willing, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But my goal is just to be a regular civilian, man. I just want to hold down a job and just be a regular person. I want that inner peace, and with that comes structure. And I haven't been that for such a long, long time, man, to where it's calloused my mind, honestly. My cousin mentioned it to me and he was like, bro, you're like one of our somebody that we know. He was like, man, you're like so and so, like doing hard time and shit. Cause I remember him saying that he used to do this individual used to do time in the SHU, which the SHU program is like solitary confinement. And for a long time, bro, I'm not saying this is anything like that. I'm just saying me being unemployed, no cash flow, no transportation, be completely down on my luck. It felt like that at a certain point because I couldn't go anywhere, bro. So I had to be stuck inside the house. And on top of my depression and everything else, I really was limited to the confines of my apartment.
So in some ways, you were in prison.
And a mental prison. I remember breaking down. Like this only happened one time, but I remember just sitting there, bro, and it was just like fuck, bro, and it drove me nuts. But after that, like it calloused my mind, and I've learned the things to keep me busy and activities to where I'm like so by that time when quarantine happened, bro, I was like, bro, I got this shit. Like this is not. I've been doing this for a long time, and I fucking smooth sailing, man. Like I know how to keep myself busy. And that's how I got in shape the first time. I did it all from home, dude.
Which is interesting for me to hear because if I had to go through and pick one of my friends that is probably the most like let me try to find the words for this. One of the persons that's most like structured and can get things done, has mind over matter, down packed, it would have been you. And so that just goes to show, at least in my opinion, that you don't get to see that the demons that people that are close to you deal with is because they're not going to let it show if they don't want it to. And for me to hear what you just said, it's just like, damn, did I even know you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought I knew who you were, and I didn't realize that all this was going on internally, because what you were projecting was what I thought what was going on with you. Like, like I said, with your first exercise expedition, like you had a severe transformation in a few months, like you were putting in
55
work.
days.
Yeah. And so like to hear someone like you that did something like that, and then just knowing how you tend to operate, I was like, wow, I didn't realize you had all these internal conflicts going on. So for those of you that are listening, you may want to pay attention to people that seem like they're doing all right, and maybe ask some questions or something. Just pay attention. Maybe I might pick up on something that I missed, because I guess this is like news to me.
Well, I actually had this in one of my previous weekly challenges on the podcast was reach out. Don't be afraid to make that phone call or send that text and check in on somebody that you might have an inkling is struggling with somebody, because you never know that phone call or that text message might be the one that saves somebody's life. You never know, bro, because a lot of people go through shit like you. Like I'm a huge example of that. I'd be the last one that you would think on most occasions would be dealing with shit like this, and it was because I was totally insecure about it, and I don't want to project that. And oftentimes I want to lose myself in my friends and forget that I'm going through this shit. So a lot of the times when I am feeling good, when I step out of the house and I do hang out with my friends, for me or my family, it's really a godsend, bro, because it's like it means so much to me because it takes me out of my environment first of all, and sometimes I forget that is my drug. You know what I mean? Just being around my friends and shit and my family, because that's what numbs the fucking pain and makes me, and it reminds me of like, look, I do have a reason to fucking keep living here. You know what I mean? I don't have to be doom and gloom all the time. And often, to go back to what you said, that's what drives me, because I've come from the complete opposite end of that. That's what motivates me and puts the fire under my ass to be that structured and get shit done. Because I am by nature a competitive person, and I don't want to lose this battle to depression. You know what I mean? So that's what keeps me going personally, and it's different for everybody.
This is interesting, man. Like I said, I guess it was because whether you found a way just to internalize it and keep it compartmentalized, because we talked about it on the first podcast about, your high school nickname that we gave you, you
Mhm.
know, you since, well, I don't know when exactly there were that I don't want to call it like a snap change, but that change happened where you're no longer depressing Mark. You were just funny, outgoing Mark. I guess that I just assumed that whatever you were struggling with was taken care of, and I didn't realize that there was much more deep rooted, uh, uh,
Issues.
yeah, issues.
I just learned how to cope, dude, and how to put on my face better. I learned how to do my emotional makeup, so to speak, a lot better than I had before. Before I hadn't even gone to makeup college. Now I fucking graduated from fucking Milan, and I know how to do it right. I know how to hide my emotions, and not wear my heart on my sleeve. And I think that is a huge reason why I have so much trouble displaying my true feelings to people because I'm so used. That switch for me is hard. It's easier said than done. Like I said, I can't just turn off that switch anymore. It's just kind of like stuck. I need to have an electrician come in and fucking fix my switch, man.
Right. So you've mentioned this before, but just to bring it back again. So would you say that having this platform, this podcast, has definitely made you uh, not only be able to speak about it, even though it is a tender subject for you, but helping you identify, you know, things within yourself?
Oh, 100%, bro. This is therapy for me. And it's not even a tender subject anymore. It's just something that I accepted almost. I'm almost there. I'm on the road to a full acceptance. But this is 100% therapy for me, and it helps because I have to edit this shit. People I have to fucking look back, and yeah, it does help me catch some things sometimes. Like I mentioned when I started vlogging, I started vlogging in a really depressed state. And I noticed that when I was vlogging, well, one of the symptoms of chronic depression is slurred speech and slowed speech. And I noticed as I was editing, I'm fucking slurring my speech, man. And I'm talking like this and that. I'm like, I was tripping out. So yeah, it does help me see that shit from a third person point of view. But this is 100% therapy for me. And that's why when Victor Jr. left, I was heartbroken, man, because I didn't want this to stop. I really found a lot of joy out of this, and I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as I am enjoying this now. That's why it's very, very important for me. Even if I had to do them alone or start vlogging, I wanted to keep doing this. And I'm glad that I found this platform. Thank God for podcasting and stuff. I started listening to podcasts in 2010, and so I've done my podcast homework for a decade now. So it's a perfect fit, really. Um, I couldn't think of anything else that I'd want to be doing, and that's why I said I want to do this full time if I can.
Oh, awesome, man. I'm glad it's brought some sort of solace, to your life. And
I'm interested to see if it's gonna do the same for you. Like, I want to know if how this type of platform, and after getting a few episodes under your belt, maybe like 20 episodes, how you're gonna feel about it. Like, how is it gonna impact your life and stuff? I'm really interested to see that.
again, it's still very novel. This is our what third recording.
Yep.
So it's still probably too early to tell for me. However, I will say, having done the two previous and this one here now, it's I like it because, like I mentioned at the end of the second one, I have a lot going up here. And you told me I hope you still got some steam left, and I was like, dude, the train hasn't even left the station. So for me, just to get my thoughts out, and again, I guess maybe this might be me stepping outside of my humility bubble, but I've been told by a lot of people that just talking to me helps them through their problems, and so maybe I can reach a few people out there that that chime in on this. Uh, Maybe help them through, and of course, doing this with you, help them find out that hey, I may have something else going on that I wasn't aware of, or hey, you know what, I'm relating a lot to what they talk about. Like I should probably go seek some help, or like, hey, everything he just said, it that's me. Maybe I'm on the same boat as him, and it's okay because he wouldn't sought help. And even from this first minimal meeting that he had, it was profound. It's already bearing fruit. It might be the same for me, and just to let people know that they're not alone.
And I guarantee, bro, as long as we can get this into the right hands and to the masses and people subscribe and hit that like button and help us out with the algorithm here, subscribe. A
Please
lot of
do.
people yeah, go ahead.
I was like, please do.
Yeah, no, seriously, please. We appreciate it, and I appreciate every viewer that we have in the comment section. I just can't wait to see where this channel goes, man. I want to grow, and we will grow. Just got to put the work in, and I'm no stranger to that. But um, I guarantee, though, if we can just get it into the right hands, and like I said, to the masses, people will resonate with what you're saying. Because I could tell you that the way you put things is pretty clear and concise and easy for me to digest mentally. Food for thought, and that's something I'm working on, like I said, because I have a tendency to ramble and kind of mix up my stories. And I'll be honest, I have a hard time comprehending things a lot of the time, and that's something I struggle with. And it's probably part of the reason I cut people off so much, because I'm like I said, I'm so eager to just get my thought out before I lose it, you know. So, but yeah, dude, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's so many people, bro. This is why this is such an important platform. And it's not always going to be about mental health or mental illness, but it's why it's so important is because there are millions of people who struggle with this type of shit, who need a place to go at the end of their day, to kind of like have some confirmation, and be like, I'm not the only one struggling with this. So, like I said, bro, I mean, I'm glad you enjoy it so far.
Yeah, it's been like I told you, I don't know what I was expecting going into this. Whatever it was that I had in my mind that I was expecting, it definitely wasn't that. And I've enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to doing more, and I'm looking forward to having more great conversations. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Bro, and even talking to you about like kind of that little brief period where we got a little bit deeper and stuff. I'll tell you just because I know that, like I said, a lot of my friends don't know this, but like, yeah, I mean, I've gone through shit, but like even just talking to you about it out loud, kind of not provokes anxiety, but there's still a little part of me that's just like I'm kind of nervous and reluctant to like be saying this shit. You know what I mean? And so that's because I've never really talked about this shit with my friends before. So it's not awkward at all, but there is like neural pathways that are fucking carved into my brain that just are so quick to go to the anxiety part and the repressive part. I like to repress shit, and it's a little weird, but I'm pretty sure over time, that'll just be like second nature to me. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I want to get. I want to get to that point to where I don't even got to think about it anymore. Like whatever I'm feeling, I can just say it. I mean, in the right context. I'm not gonna be like if I'm horny and shit. Hey, I'm horny. Like, you know.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm horny, I'll tell you. But
Yeah. Well, that just goes to show that you that are watching that even as someone that's doing something like this and having these discussions and has been doing his podcast, you said you started what, end of 2019?
we started the audio version, I think, yeah, the end of 2019, and then we took a year off because Victor Jr. had to leave again, unforeseen circumstances, and then he came back and we did it for up until episode I think 19, and then so this is 29. So yeah, but those 2 years of combined.
So
So
for him to say that and then him right now on this current episode to still say like there's still that little bit of anxiety that you're dealing with even talking about it now that you've been doing this for,
it's just with you though.
well, I mean, but what I'm saying is that there's still it's normal. I'm saying that there's so if you're trying to talk to people at home, you know, it's okay that to experience the feelings that they may be experiencing because even you've been doing this and you said that this platform has
Oh
been
yeah.
extremely helpful for you and you still have that sense of anxiety, whether it's with me or somebody else, that it's still a normal thing to be experiencing and that you're not weird, you're not alone.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's how difficult this shit is. So I can't even imagine the people who don't have a supportive environment and who are going through shit like this. It was hard for me. It was hard enough for me to start talking about this shit and understanding how to deal with it and how to kind of erase that anxiety when I'm starting to be real with myself and with my feelings and conveying that to others. It took time, dude, just to get to that point. A lot of work and a lot of reflection. So I can't even imagine for the ones who are completely reluctant to be real with themselves and be transparent, but for the ones who don't have a fucking support group, how tough is it for these people? Like, I can't even imagine how hard it is to make that phone call or reach out to anybody. Because some people, bro, and unfortunately, they don't have anybody in their lives who they can go to, and that fucking it's sad, bro. And that's another reason I fucking like having a platform like this for the people that, eventually if we get big enough, like I want people to reach out, leave your shit in the comment section. Let us know what you're feeling, and maybe we'll have you call in one of these days. I don't know, but it just like it's very important to like to work on that. And like you said though, you being in a relationship, you've kind of always worn your heart on your sleeve. So has communication always been like easy for you in a relationship? I know for me it hasn't been.
Uh, yes, and with my girlfriend, it's equally the communication flows evenly back and forth between the both of us, so that is extremely helpful. Um, it's yeah, communication never been a big one for me, but for those of you that are watching, if you're not one that suffers from depression or any other mental condition,
Or just life struggles.
well, what I'm trying to say is if you have somebody in your life, listen. Listen to them, try to help them, and don't like give up because, like I said, through dealing with and helping people that are close to me with depression, one thing that I've researched was like you have to be able to understand that yes, the things that they may say sometimes may be hurtful and they may cut a little bit, but that's not the real person that's talking to you. That's not the person that it's the the mental health issue, speaking on their behalf, and taking over their voice. And so not to, okay, you told me that one thing, we're done, and shut them out completely because that's not what they need. They need you to be there and find ways to be supportive. So, I don't. So those of you that are watching, I'm saying just try to be cognizant of those people that are around you that may be having these things. And if you've had thoughts where like, okay, I'm just done with you now, that may not be helpful.
It's so true, dude, because when I'm in those depressed states, 100% two totally different people, man. You wouldn't recognize me. It's like it's in some times when it's more severe, it's a scary thing, bro. And I've almost lost my relationship to it, and that's a big reason that made me want to change and start seeking help. But I've lost previous relationships because of it, and friends and shit, and I've been in pretty deep waters because of it, because it's not me, and it's something that I didn't learn how to control, and not control, but like manage. So yeah, I mean, it's a huge thing, bro. Like that's why my hat's off to my fiance because she, if anyone knows and understands that concept, like I know this is not him because when things are good, it's great. But when things are bad, it's like she kind of knows just kind of to leave me alone a little bit. And it's unfortunate, but it's getting better. So I don't know, man. I feel like we were talking about me the whole time. I don't want to be the fucking center of attention here.
Well, no, it's just fortunately, I don't. At least I'm not aware of any issue that I suffer from. So talking about this stuff also gives me an understanding, of what you're going through, and then those that are close to me that also have these similar issues. How to understand them better and how to be a better person to them, someone that they might need.
I just want to say this. I know somebody who's probably going to watch this, who's going through a really rough time right now, who I talked to earlier. But I know you're fucking struggling right now. So just keep trucking and hang in there. And I promise you, with some effort and mental fortitude, I promise you'll get through this. You got to see it through. I know it seems like there's not a light at the end of the tunnel right now, but I promise you it exists if you just keep pushing. So don't give up on me. Like I said, I'm here if you need me. Just give me a call. Um, we're already an hour and 4 into it. So you want to wrap it up? Is there anything else you want to add, man?
No, we're good, bro.
I feel like this shit flew by because I was just, I don't know. I felt good about
well,
it.
this one and the previous two flew by too. So I think
It did.
if this is the standard, I think we're doing pretty good.
Do you want to do, I want to do another one. I don't know if you do.
100%.
Okay. So we're going to end this one right here. I hope you, like I said, I hope you guys enjoy this. I'm thrilled to have John here as my podcast partner and co-host and partner in crime. That's so cheesy, but I said it.
The PIC dog.
Yeah, the PIC. But yeah, I couldn't be happier, man. This is such a great opportunity, and I'm enjoying the shit out of this experience, and I hope you are too, man. But
yeah, it's been a pleasure. Like I said, it's been a lot of fun. I have nothing negative to say about it.
me either. I'm having a blast with it. But if you guys enjoy this content, man, please like and subscribe and share and turn on that notifications bell, because every view and subscriber that we gain and every thumbs up that we get is just a step towards getting this out to more people. So
Exactly, and that's what it's all about.
yeah, exactly. We want to get this to as many people as we can, and some days it will be deeper like this, but sometimes we're gonna fuck around. We're gonna talk some nonsense, and that's what I do best. So
Yeah.
and he can hang with me on that. Like we kind of just feed off each other in that way. But yeah, man, I think that's about it. We're gonna wrap it up, and maybe on this next one we'll do a weekly challenge.
Sounds good.
So hope you guys enjoyed another episode of the PO3 Podcast. My name is Marcus Marx.
And I'm just plain old John.
We'll catch you guys on the next one.